WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim for the second hour of Straight Words with Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad. And, of course, he is the editor of the Final Call newspaper. This brother is one of the most prolific brothers that you will ever hear on the radio. And I know you don't like me saying stuff like that, but he's accompanied by his partner in crime, Brother James G. Muhammad, former editor of the Final Call newspaper. Then we got a star, Sister Starla, who's the managing editor of the Final Call newspaper. And I tell you, man, we got some of the smartest people in the world on this radio tonight. So we thank Almighty God Allah for allowing this show to take place on WVON. May God bless WVON 1690 forever. We thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for having a wonderful relationship throughout the years on this radio station. And now we have a voice to carry on the legacy of his work as his helpers, his little helpers right here on the WVON. Hey, listen.
A quick correction, brother.
Y'all got to call.
BJ, quick correction. You said brothers, partners in crime. It's what I thought it was partners in righteousness, my brother.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, brother.
You missed the note, the email. Text.
I didn't get that. Thank you for changing that language. We always got to be correct each other. But y'all,
we just talked about bad cops, brother. We don't want to get out here beating.
Hey, I'll never say that again. Thank you for correcting me on that, brother. I'll never say it again.
Yes, sir.
Hey, call us 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690 right here on the Talk of Chicago. We got to talk about a great topic, y'all.
And
anybody can jump in now.
Yeah, well, you know, I wanted to say, first of all, brothers and sisters, look, thank y'all for tuning in. But we really need your support because at a certain point, honestly, we're going to have to come to a decision about whether or not this programming is sustainable, right? And it is sustainable if you sustain it. So if you want to be an advertiser, if you want to be a partner, and everything we've done, brothers and sisters, we've really done based on donations, you know, and we've had a few setbacks, mainly for some health stuff that I'm dealing with. But I really want you to understand, and I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and you're going to enjoy even more what you're going to hear. But we really need your support. So that's $StraightWords in Cash App, $StraightWords, and send your donation and make it regular, you know, and we'll do some things. The other thing is if it's Zelle 312-480-9775 and PayPal, StraightWords, the number 4 at gmail.com. PayPal, StraightWords4@gmail.com. But we wanted Sister Starla to come on because now we're going to get into a special segment. And don't worry, we're going to have Kopano Muhammad at about 10:30. But the 70th wedding anniversary of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Khadijah Farrakhan, we certainly wish them the happiest of anniversaries. And Sister Starla, a beautiful cover. Why don't you talk to us about it?
Yes, sir. All praise is due to Allah. Of course, we wanted to recognize and present our beloved minister and his lovely wife, the First Lady of the Nation of Islam, Mother Khadijah Farrakhan, on the momentous occasion of celebrating 7 decades of marriage. And so we have presented them on the cover, their wedding day photo. And we also are talking about love, duty, and commitment. And in this issue, we examine the importance of establishing and cultivating healthy, happy, and long-lasting Black marriages and family life. So we encourage your viewing and listening audience, if they haven't already, this one is hot off the presses, so make sure you get a physical copy of the Final Call when you see the FOI in a community near you. And we were able to, on page 2 this week, Brother Naba'a, we have a beautiful array of photos of the minister and Mother Khadijah through the years. And the article, we really, of course, Mother Khadijah and the minister are, they're a pristine example. They're the template when you're talking about, healthy, happy, and long-lasting marriage. But we were able to profile some other couples, some who were married as a shorter amount of time. We interviewed student minister Sultan Muhammad and his wife, Sister Takia, who has been married, I believe, about 5 or 6 years. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, Brother Marcus Muhammad and Sister Cecilia Muhammad, affectionately known as the Marriage Keepers, who have been married, I believe, 31 years. But just a really upbeat article with regard to how we go about silencing the noise to build strong, God-centered Black marriages and family. And, of course, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has, for years, talked about the importance of marriage and how commitment to strong marriage secures our nation. And he's not just talking about the nation of Islam, but the Black nation in general. And he talks about that there's no success in building a nation without the building of family, and there's no success in building a family without the respect and honor for the institution of marriage. So we really wanted to examine and explore and speak with couples with regard to, how to face some of the challenges that marriages often face, but how to, withstand those storms that all marriages go through. So a nice feature article written by our national correspondent, Sister Charlene Muhammad. How to face some of the challenges that
yes, that's a really good quote in this article. I want to read this for everybody. It said, when it comes to commitment, a lot of people are playing this double Dutch game, 1 foot in and 1 foot out. It's really important if you expect to have a healthy, strong, successful relationship, strong marriage, that you have to put both feet in, and that you're 10 toes down in your marriage. Exactly. We ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody going nowhere.
And it ain't.
You might get mad at me. You might get mad at me, but at the end of the day, you ain't going nowhere.
And it ain't like storms. And it ain't like storms won't come up. It's gonna be rocky sometime, and it's gonna be smooth sailing sometime. And over the long haul, really over the long haul, the storms, I believe, get fewer because you see deeper into the person and into the mist, and you kind of, you got understanding. The longer it goes, the better understanding. The love builds, actually, and you can see that, in the example of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Khadijah, who is just a beautiful. Mother Khadijah is so beautiful, man, and she's just a lovely person, and I've been blessed to be 42 years, and it's because of the example that we've seen in front of us with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Khadijah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm 22 in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
22 years.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right now. I can't comment on that. I'll let Sister Starla weigh in if she wants to. But one of the things that I thought really about when I saw this cover, Sister Starla, and one of the reasons why I thought it was so beautiful was, one, we have the opportunity to share our joy, to pay our tribute, to celebrate with the minister and Mother Farrakhan, and it's beautiful to be able to do that. But the other thing is that we get such warped views of Black male-female relationships, and there's such pessimism that it is beautiful to see longevity. And to see longevity tied to purpose. It's really an incredible thing. And Brother James, with your 42, that's incredible. Brother BJ, with your 22? Or was it 22?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Sister Starla, how many, you and the wonderful great brother Bernard Muhammad now?
Inshallah, next year we'll finally hit double digits next year, and we'll hit 10 years in February.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Well, sister, y'all are a really beautiful couple. I'm telling you, Brother James. Couple. I remember I remember when they were courting years ago, and they were just sitting at the Starbucks over here on Stony and 71st. But I tell you, and I always take my hat off to Brother Bernard. He's a special man. Because to have your wife in a position of leadership that requires her to work, that requires her to be on call, that requires her to be under stress. But I've always seen him. I've always seen him supporting Sister Starla.
Amen.
You know, and Yusef, her son. And I just, you know, we often talk about the woman behind the man. But here's a black man that stands now. Don't make no mistake now.
No doubt.
Stands behind and don't make no mistake now. And stands with his wife as she does a beautiful work in this mission. So what are some of the lessons, since I got 3 veterans on the line, what are some of the lessons our people should take both from your individual experiences and from the minister's 70 years?
Excellent question. I guess I'll go first as having the least amount of years in this journey thus far. But I know, you know, one of the things that I think is crucial is, you know, in the Nation of Islam, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have taught and trained us and exposed us to what we call courtship. And I know for many listeners who, you know, may not be familiar with that, you know, it's basically old school. The minister has talked about, you know, the fact that if a gentleman was interested in a young lady that, you know, back in the day, he would approach her father, or if her father wasn't there, an uncle or maybe an older brother, but a male member of her family. It wasn't just where he just slides up to her and you know, says just any old thing. There was a procedure. There was manners. So I think getting back to some of the things that maybe our parents or our grandparents or great-grandparents did when it came to their relationship. And in the Nation of Islam, of course, when we go out with one another, it is always under the watchful eyes of, you know, a chaperone, another married couple that goes along, you know, when we are going out. But I think creating those circumstances and environments so that we can, under proper circumstances, get to know one another in our social circles, whether it's a mosque, whether it's a church, whether, you know, it's some other sort of organization. So I think for us, that was critical, Brother Naba'a, Brother BJ, and Brother James, that, you know, we abided by what we were taught in the Nation of Islam. And, you know, of course, we are able to, of course, speak and talk on the phone, but we had an opportunity to go out with, you know, married couples, to seek counseling before you get married. That's important as well, because sometimes, you know, like you mentioned earlier, Brother James, those storms are going to come. So it's important, even before you get married, to seek counsel from happily married couples who can give you tips and advice. You need to learn each other's communication style. You know, you need to learn each other's financial language. If both of you are bad with money, that may be something that is a red flag, you know, because you don't want to be in a situation where I'm bad with money, he's bad with money, and then we're going to be broke all the time. So there's so many dynamics that need to be discussed ahead of time. So that's what I would say in terms of, you know, lessons that I've learned.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So I learned, you know, from the minister, he taught us, like, he said it takes a good woman to make a good man. And the minister always references that there's no way that he could be the man that he had to be for us if he didn't have a good woman by his side, like Mother Khadijah. And you just think about all the sacrifice that she made for the mission to help him. And, you know, you think about your wife, my wife, in my radio career, and how she sacrificed just traveling with me, getting fired from a job and moving to another city. I mean, I'd be ashamed to tell you how many times I done moved. Mm-hmm. And she has never complained and said, I'm sick of you, I'm going my own way. She never said that. She never put me down or anything. She's so patient with me. And over the years, I'd be saying to myself, man, you don't appreciate her enough of what she has done for you. So, when we need to listen to our wives and appreciate them more, because, I made so many mistakes by not listening to her. And the minister always say, when you don't listen to your wife, it's like you're seeing out of one eye. You're handicapped. Yeah. But if you listen to her, you got two eyes, because she's the other part of you. Right. And so when she's talking to you, that's actually you talking to yourself from the female perspective. Okay. And she always has a different perspective than you. So, I just made a lot of mistakes, but I appreciate my wife. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I close with this, being in the delivery room when she had my son, and she didn't want to take an epidural because she didn't want the drugs or anything to affect my son when she was delivering him. And I just saw the pain that she was under just for that love of just wanting him to come in untouched by whatever the drugs were. And she suffered for that, And I said, wow, man, I'm crazy not to, do all I can for this woman. So as I've gotten older, I appreciate my wife. I love my wife. I never portray my wife. And I thank God for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for helping us and showing us how to treat our wives and women in general.
Yes, sir, Brother BJ. 773-591-1690 is the number to call if you want to get in on this conversation. Brother Naba'a, I will close this out with this. First of all, I wanted just to say to you, you mentioned you can't speak on it, the marriage issue. But I will say to this, even though you're not married now, you are an example of a wonderful father. Whenever I think about responsible fathers, you are the picture that comes into my mind as I have watched you with your children over the years and the things you had to go through when your children were young and raising them, especially you have two boys. So I just want to throw that out because you're the type of brother, if we had men that acted like you toward your children, despite whatever's happening, on the marriage end, then, a lot of this craziness we see in the community would be a lot different. That's number one. Number two, Brother Diamante, our engineer, has only been married 2 years, so he can't say nothing. Yes, but number three, the last thing I want to say is to follow up on what Sister Starla said. When I came into the nation, that was back in the 70s, around 79. Me and my wife and I, we were, we dated prior to me coming into the nation. And when I came into the nation, she came along with me. So just in that alone caused a whole different perspective on our relationship. Coming out of what we say this world into the nation made us rearrange our whole relationship, because what was tolerated in that world, which creates so much mess in that world, we had to rearrange and adapt ourselves to another world that we're trying to build. And it's not that in the nation there are no, marriages that don't work, because there are. And that's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is trying to help us through. But we came into the nation and to the point that Sister Starla was saying, it's a courtship process. I had to express my interest in my future wife and say I'm interested in, finding out more about her. Not the way we do in the world, but in the way of more about her mind, her character, her spirit, who she is really. And so, we had to do that. We had to have a chaperone, et cetera, et cetera. That might sound old school, but when you do it the proper way And I would use examples of in the Islamic world or so. You often hear about the minister say, when you come into the house in the Islamic world, as a man, or men that come into see another man at the house, you don't see their wives, their daughters. And it's not that they're being oppressed, but there's a culture that is in those communities that show respect for the female, and that's what we got to get back to. What I learned from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Khadijah is basically how to treat a woman. That's right. And my wife, I believe, had learned how to treat her husband. And so those two teachings brought us together where, I believe if you ask my children, they will tell you they damn sure will tell you they've never seen us fight. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. They might say they never even seen us have a serious argument, though we may have disagreements. And on the other hand, now, if you fight your wife, I don't care if she is your wife, you're going to have some other people to respond to that don't look like your wife. So that's on the other side of that. But, to close this, man, it's like the two pieces just were brought together in a way that I believe that God intends couples to come together. And me and my wife, Darlene, have been together for 42 years. And, it's been ups, it's been down. And to your point, Brother Naba, and I think, or maybe Brother BJ, you mentioned about Sister Starla and the role she plays at the final call and the stress and all that. My wife has often told me that she felt like a married single woman for many years because when you're working with the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, I mean, I'm traveling around the world and gone for days, weeks, and months. And she would say later in life that she would tell me there were times she felt like, a married single woman. And sometimes she had thoughts about maybe she need to go back to Ohio, where we're from. But thank Allah, she didn't. And we have some wonderful children to show for it. Praise be to Allah.
Yeah, and grandchildren now, brother. Don't forget them beautiful grandchildren.
Grandchildren, yes, sir.
Well, brothers and sisters, look, you're listening to some real straight words and some important words tonight. So we're going to close this segment. I'm hoping that our next guest is on the line.
Yes.
We're going to bring her right in a minute. Sister Starla, as we let you go, tell the people how to get you and how to follow you and all of that, how to support you and all of that stuff.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you all so very much again. And, of course, we invite everyone to make sure you visit www.finalcall.com and make sure you take out a digital subscription of the Final Call. You can also take out a print subscription. And, again, when you see the Mighty Brothers, the FOI in cities around the country, make sure you get a copy of the paper, not only for yourself, but for a family member or friend. The Final Call, you can find the Final Call on Instagram, on Twitter, I guess now known as X. We're also on Facebook, Threads, and even on TikTok. So make sure you check us out. I can be reached at Simply Starla 23, also on Twitter, Starla Muhammad on Facebook, and also at Simply Starla 23 on Instagram. Thank you, brothers, so very much again. My editor-in-chief, Brother Naba'a, my editor, Brother James G., and my brother BJ Murphy. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, Sister Starla.
Thank you, Sister Starla.
Thank you. So, brothers and sisters, look, we got a special guest coming up now who's near and dear to my heart. And let's bring in Kopano if she's here. Bring her into this conversation.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Sister.
Alaikum salam. Is this Kopano Muhammad?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That's
so,
my
brothers,
name.
look. This is my beautiful daughter.
Yes, sir.
Years ago, Brother James, she came to WVON with me one night when I was doing the Salim Muwakil show. So it's fitting that she's back tonight. We're going to have a little discussion about, well, sweetheart, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, and then talk a little bit about the Inglewood Jazz Festival, and then we'll get into the conversation about the relationship between the artist and the black community.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kopano Muhammad. Stage, I just go by Kopano. I am a multi-instrumentalist or multidisciplinary artist under the moniker of cultural worker, cultural work. I'm born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Voice is my primary instrument, but I also DJ some, play some piano, play some bass and stuff. I recently graduated from Oberlin College and Conservatory, majoring in music, and I just returned back to Chicago this year after being gone for a while, and it's been a really wonderful beginning.
Very good.
And this Thursday, I will be performing at Inglewood Jazz Fest for the first time. This is a Thursday through Saturday event, and I'll be performing at Thursday at 6 p.m. with Ernest Dawkins and his group of young masters, young jazz professionals. And we will be doing Homage to the Man, which is a suite dedicated to Nelson Mandela.
Oh, wait, say that again?
We'll be doing Ernest Dawkins' composition, Homage to the Man, which is a suite dedicated to Nelson Mandela. It's in the avant-garde kind of jazz tradition, but what I would say it's not one genre at all. So it's very very trans-genre.
Wow.
Now, what day again and what time?
Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Inglewood Jazz Fest. That's going to be Hamilton Park.
Hamilton Park. So you can Google, brothers and sisters, Inglewood Jazz Fest. So, as my daughter said, that's right, that's my daughter. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry.
Hamilton Park is on 72nd, by the way. Hamilton Park is on 72nd.
In Inglewood.
72nd in Houston in Inglewood.
Oh, okay. So.
And that's at 6 o'clock on Thursday. Inshallah, I'll be there screaming loud.
Yes, sir.
But I have to say this. I watch my daughter. She's a talented person, but I watched her take voice lessons every Saturday for years, hours of voice lessons. I watched her take violin lessons. I watched her play the viola and, things that she taught herself and, so much of the great work of her mom and helping to cultivate her talents. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you always have to pay homage to the woman that develops the child, man. And her mom has done a fabulous job. And Kopano has done a fabulous job in developing her own talent, her own philosophy, her own view. And when she did her senior recital at Oberlin, she did dedicate the first song to me. But anyway, we ain't going to talk about that. So, Kopano, you mentioned...
What was the song? Or what was it, Brother Naba?
The song was Sunny.
Sunny, okay.
Yeah, she's a trained jazz vocalist as well as neo soul and other stuff that she does. So, Kopano, you mentioned being a cultural worker, and one of the things that you and I talked a little bit about was how do you see what is the proper relationship between black artists and the black community? What should that look like?
Well, I think we can take a moment by looking at the role of the artists in the community right now. I find that what is idolized about artists are those who are very removed from their community, idolized for wealth, idolized for materialism, or being able to succeed in a way that really mimics whiteness and replicates whiteness. When I'm thinking about cultural work, I'm thinking about the movement during the 60s. I'm thinking about Pan-Africanism. I'm thinking about unity. You feel me? Because cultural work means that you listen to your community and you're laboring for your community. You're laboring because people are politics, right? I mean, politics, when we talk about politics, we're talking about people, right? And so, having a people-centered politics around your work. And so I think that requires staying in your community. We can think of Winnie Mandela, who's one of the very few South African political activists who stayed in Soweto. She had the opportunity, but she chose not to, because that's how you stay close to your people and you listen to your people. It's very easy to give us a temptation, to be tempted by ego, to be tempted by accolades. But there's a society where we wear achievement as a blanket for insecurity, So I find that being a cultural worker, when you decenter yourself in the process, you are also still choosing yourself in the process when you are choosing the people that poured into you, that created you. So when I think about the role of the Black artist, I think it's to be true to oneself enough to know that, like, what is out there for me and, like, playing this, like, rat race isn't what's actually going to reward my soul. But, I mean, to each their own.
Yeah.
I got a question for Kopano. I got a question for...
Give me hold on 1 second, Brother BJ. Kopano, and not say it a little more with your words and slow down just a little so we can make sure we hear you, okay? Go ahead, Brother BJ.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Kopano. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, I want to say this. Like, I've noticed that your whole approach is like, you like old school, right? And you're like an old soul, and you like nostalgic, classic songs that I hear you singing when I was staying with you all. And what is your take on? I see a lot of younger people gravitating to more of the classic era of music as opposed to some of the newer stuff. Do you have a preference?
I think there's a place and time for everything, you know. But if I'm by myself or spending time with myself, I will alternate between the two. But I'm still very intentional about what type of music I listen to, no matter the era. I think it's so important, though, you know, in the concept of Sankofa, you know, we look at the shoulders that we stand on, we look behind us in order to move forward, to have a specific type of reverence for the foundational music, being blues, soul, jazz, you know. So it definitely got a special place in my heart. But, you know, sometimes they put on them Jersey club bangers and it goes up, you know, but that's a place and time.
You have a wonderful voice. You got a beautiful voice. I've heard you sing many times, and you're very, very talented, like your father said. I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know, that means a lot.
It seems like you just went to Oberlin. I'm saying you done graduated. I'm like, damn, where did the time go? I wondered, like, your idols or the people you either pattern yourself up to, one or two of those, and why do you choose those as idols?
Okay. I'm going to have to choose three because that's my number. And I'm bad at following directions sometimes.
Okay, three is okay.
The most iconic for me is Jill Scott.
Jill, okay.
Jill Scott. Her phrasing, her ability to storytell, and also, like, you know, she really is the focal point of the music, even though there's so much arranging behind her, you know. Her voice, specifically how she coordinates lyricism with melody and the tone of her voice. Immaculate, unbeatable. She could sing over the same chords for like 10 minutes, and you still there with her following the story. You know, that's amazing.
Wow.
Another musician that I really idolize a lot is actually a Chicago musician named Akenya. Really incredible. Yeah, Akenya. That's Akenya. I first heard Akenya when I think it was before I was 16. It's a song called Absent-Mindedness that's on SoundCloud. And I was like, that's my sound, because Kenya's also a vocalist, a pianist, you know, composer, songwriter, arranger. Having that type of range is impressive, and it shows in your work. You know, it shows in your voice when you know all of those instruments. But Kenya's also has an amazing sense of time, an amazing range, and does things with a voice that moves beyond just the body, the limitations of the body. So I really admire that. The songwriter, all the people I'm going to name are songwriters, by the way. Kenya. And then lastly, I always have to shout out my South African ancestry. There's a current singer named Zoe Modiga who is a jazz singer, but she's just an amazing vocalist. You know, her sophomore album she released, and it was, I believe it's an isiZulu, I think. I hope I don't get slandered for this, but I think it's an isiZulu. And she just I know it's in Nguni language, but she just really it's just as beautiful as her freshman album, which was in English. It just gives me chills. I actually don't even have words for her because she's just incredible. She's also a songwriter and guitarist.
What was her name again?
Zoe Modiga. That's Zoe, then Modiga.
Okay. One last question from me. You mentioned Jill Scott, and I thought you were going to mention some other old school based on what Brother
Okay,
DJ
so
was saying.
see, the thing is, you only gave me 3. So here's my old school.
No, but that's okay. I was going to ask you.
No, okay, but the last one, I will say Dionne Warwick. Okay. Dionne Warwick. Okay. Like that's Dionne Warwick is the one. All right.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I was wondering your favorite Jill Scott tune, because I like one of her songs that I hardly ever hear played much, but it was called "Blessed," about her son. I really, really liked that one, but I was wondering which your favorite Jill Scott tune?
My favorite Jill Scott song is "Prepare."
Prepare.
Because prepared.
Oh, prepared.
Because it's basically a prayer in a song. Okay. I find that a lot of Jill Scott's music, when she's writing for herself, they come off as prayers to me. And it's talking about being prepared. It's that you got to be prepared. You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And that's really been a mantra for me in terms of my ethic and my philosophy. I'll say my philosophy around singing.
Okay. Well, there you hear it, ladies and gentlemen. The next star on the rise, Sister Kopano Muhammad. She's going to go by the name of Kopano. You'll hear that name widely talked about really very soon. Brother Naba?
That's right. Don't know what Brother Naba went.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'm still here. Go ahead, BJ.
Okay. Yep. I got another question for you. What are your thoughts about world music, Kopano? Because it seems like you are like a combination of, you got some of that international artistry in you, right? But you can relate to people around the world, and you're just not limited to one genre of music. Am I right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah. I mean, definitely to some degree. I mean, I'm still familiar. I mean, I definitely I was raised in a South African household. I really say, culturally, Mafiki Zolo's, album, I really grew up listening to. And, I do spend a lot of time listening to South African music specifically. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say world music, but I would say South Africa very, very much so. But I definitely listen to a lot of different music. But I think because the music industry is so profit-centered that it turns culture in on itself to receive money for it, and then create these very watered-down versions. Yeah. And so I'm very sensitive about, when thinking about world music, how I approach a culture, the role that I have in that culture. Even being South African, I'm still South African American. So that's still a different point of view to be coming to South African music versus if I was born and raised in South Africa. So, I'm always thinking about my positionality, and that doesn't mean I can't participate. My friend and I, we go to this one taqueria up around North Avenue, and we be singing ballads in Spanish. I don't even really speak Spanish. I took it in high school a little bit, but I be trying. I come prepared with the only song I know, honestly. Sabor a mí, that's the one you will hear me sing at Spanish karaoke night. That's the one. But I still like to learn from a lot of different cultures. But whether or not I really choose to use the sound, I think is a different thing, because I've seen a lot of people profit from cultures that they have no relationship to. And I'm honestly pretty proud of my culture, so I don't feel the need to really do too much, But, of course, I'm always subconsciously absorbing elements that then come out, because I'm an improvisational. Improvisation is pretty much my foundation for singing. So because I'm an improvisational singer, whatever I've absorbed is what's going to come out.
So would you
go ahead, BJ?
I was going to say, real quick. I was going to say, do you want to continue your journey in music as an independent artist, or do you have any aspirations for being commercialized?
I'm not good with institutions, commercialization. Having a $70,000 music video shoot sounds cool until it's not at all what you wanted. For me personally. So I think I'm still these kind of artist. I do feel very supported by my community. I think that's why cultural work is so important, right? It's if I'm out here asking my community for help, but I ain't never done anything for the community, I never shown up for the community don't even know who I am. Who am I to be going to the community to ask for help? I think as a person, you know, you deserve that support, period, you know, especially. But, like, we have to understand that life energy is recycled. Energy moves in cycles. And so, you know, we have to think about what we are giving the community before we're asking community for stuff. I'm very proud of how I've shown up in my community. So I feel like being an independent artist is the right move for me.
Right.
I'm also not super extravagant. Like, I'm pretty, you know, I'm chilling. You know, I'm not super extravagant, but would I be interested in a production deal? Absolutely, you know, release one album with, like, a label or something like that. I don't know if I would sign to a label, but I would do something that was, like, very, you know, situational type of conditional, short-term type of thing. I don't see there's anything wrong with that because, as my dad said, never mistake a change in plan for a change in purpose.
That was wisdom from your dad. That was deep. Yeah. So, Kopano, you know, the style of music that you do and the style of art that you do, it's not like the stadium feeling kind of attractive, that was going to attract like that, right? You're more like the jazz genre is not as popular as like the hip-hop, etc. But hip-hop found a way to make their thing by doing their own, like, you know, the brothers that used to do the CDs out there, Trunk and all that. Do you do anything like that self-production-wise, or making some kind of the CD or something of your music that you market to try to get your name out there, or have you thought about that kind of thing?
No, I don't think that's really what... I mean, I do a lot of self-production, definitely, because I've been recording myself since I was, like, 16. Just like I said, I'm a very grassroots type of person. I also think that, like, I also don't... I mean, yes, I mean, I did jazz training, but, like, white people are who named jazz. Black people didn't name jazz, you know? Okay. It's free music. You know, it's freedom music. That's why I say I come from an improvisational background, because I grew up in Chicago, where there is no difference between jazz, gospel, blues, R&B, unless you go into a straight ahead jam session, which, you know, that's a very specific thing. But if you go into a Chicago jam session, you can't just be swinging 24/7. That doesn't even make sense. You know, you have to have the flexibility. You got to have the range. So for me, like, my music, like I said, I'm very influenced by what I'm around all the time. So I would never say I'm just a jazz musician, because I think there are some people who will come to my shows and be disappointed. I think at the same time, there are people who love jazz, who love R&B, who just love blackness, that will come to me and be like, my goodness, I'm so happy to be here. And it's about quality over quantity, you know? I don't think I'm necessarily looking to even profit from my musical practice, because when I think about when I think about, like, the African traditional, like, performance practices, the artists didn't perform for money. The artists supported by their needs were met by the community, and then therefore they did their part as a diviner, as somebody who translated, as somebody who went to the other realm and came back with messages. That's what I'm aspiring for. I'm not looking for profit. I find profit to be a bit of a waste, you know. We egregiously waste every day. Money, food, a lot of things. When if I'm just looking for, like, you know, money is the middleman. If I'm looking for, like, you know, if you can get me to where I want to, if you can get me to the thing that I need or a place I want to be, then we don't need to even talk about money.
Right.
But you know, we have to have ends. That's why the artists have to be in the community. So I don't think I'm necessarily looking to, like, hard press, like, CDs and, like, in that way, because I also believe that music should be free. That's also a belief that I have. Is that music should be free. And the way it currently is, it already is basically free. The people who are collecting it are just people who don't even make music. These, like, billion-dollar companies, big CEOs, you know, like, the music, I'm paying $5 a month to listen to a bunch of music, and barely any of that is going to the artist. We might as well just make it free.
That's right. Well, it's very important that you know who you are, and it sounds like you know exactly how you want your music to be consumed. And as long as you're satisfied, as long as you're making art that satisfies your soul, the money will come. Because, listen, the people that you're looking for are looking for you. They're looking for your music because you have something to offer the world, and you're making music for people who are looking for your style. You know, music is so healing And, you know, I always liken music to the A-tone. You ever heard a song that just revives your spirit, and you make music, you make art like that, and it'll come back to you in ways that you could have never thought of. But it'll only come when you do that which is in your heart, the passion. People will feel it, you know what I'm saying? Because music is, you know, just like these microphones. These microphones this is electricity, and all the human beings in this world are electrical human beings, and when your vibration touches them, that's why we like certain artists, because we catch the spirit that they're giving, you know? And I think that's important that you keep that at the forefront of your mind, that it's from my heart to your heart when you make music.
Ashe. Thank you so much.
And
thank you.
Kopano mentioned that music should be free. I just want to throw a little note in that StraightWords is not free. Cash App.
Ahead, man.
Cash App. StraightWords. Cash App. $
Community support.
StraightWords.
Community support.
Zelle 312-480-9775. PayPal StraightWords 4 @gmail.com. Just want to throw that out there.
That's right. This is revolutionary radio supported by the people. That's what we're dealing with over here.
Man.
But no, I mean, I think so. Kopano, if people want to follow you, if they want to kind of stay in touch with you again, repeat the Inglewood Jazz Festival time and place one more time, because we got about we got about 6 minutes, I guess, as we wrap up this segment, and we'll get into the next one. But Inglewood Jazz Festival, what day, what time, what place?
Yes, so for Inglewood Jazz Festival, it's going to be this Thursday, September 14th at 6 p.m. We're going to be at Hamilton Park, which is in Inglewood on around 72nd and Halsted, just a little bit east of Halsted.
Is it an outdoor event or indoor? And is it a cost?
No.
Is there a cost?
I'm pretty sure it's free. Because I think it's free. I'm pretty sure it's free. I haven't seen no ticket thing. I've been on the website. I ain't seen no ticket thing because it's supposed to be like a free thing. I'm pretty sure it's free. And if it's outside or inside, that's such a good question, right? I wish I could tell you.
Well, I went last year, and I think it's in the same place. Okay. It's outside. It's in the park. Okay. And they say rain or shine. So I guess if it's raining, you might as well bring your umbrella and your rain thing.
Poncho.
But your poncho. But and if people want to follow you, if they want to kind of keep track of you and support you, how do they do that? Where should they go?
Yes, folks can find me on Facebook, just at Kopano. I'm not really a big social media person like that. I'm actually changing my relationship to social media too. But I'm looking to reactivate my Facebook. I'll be posting the details there.
Very good, very good. And I gotta say, I'm really, this is my oldest daughter, and it's beautiful to see her come into herself.
Yeah.
And to enjoy being herself, Brother BJ. I think you got her mixed up with her little sister, Kamo. I think that's who you heard. I don't know if you met Kopano at the house.
No, remember at the
I heard her sing.
At the banquet.
You did?
Yeah, I heard her sing before.
Oh, at the banquet.
I heard her sing.
Right at the
I heard her.
At the foodie spot. Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I guess one of my other questions is, what do you think we need to do to inspire more artists to take this cultural route? And what do we need to do to support artists so that they can take this cultural route and be who they are and contribute to our upliftment and advancement as a people?
Yeah, we really need to, there's a lot of things we're doing. It really starts connect with children, really giving children access to music into a communal setting. Music is a communal thing. We make it together. It's meant to happen together. That vibration, the electricity we're talking about through microphones, we feel those vibrations in our hearts. We all come together and do something. It's a very powerful thing. And I know the nation knows that, because I've seen that. Really going out to a show, paying for the show. Going to the show, paying for the show, and staying for the full show. Sometimes don't just stay for the person that you came for, because sometimes you leave before that next person, and that next person is going to move you in a way you did not expect. So I would say when you go out to a show, actually look up the people who are going to be on the bill and show a little bit of interest. Be curious. Let your curiosity lead you in musical spheres. Be a participatory listener. Someone that's really moving you. I would say, give your voice that situation. We love like a yes, absolutely, woo. Something engaging like that. Yeah. I'm not trying to perform in the Eurosphere where like the audience is silent. You got to be I want to know that you're there with me. Clap. Don't be afraid to show that your spirit is moved. Be unafraid, and then we will reflect that with you.
Yes.
I would also say. So yeah, put your, like I said, I think music should be free. I think I definitely have this mentality, but just because I may not believe in money like others doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so it means a lot, if you pay for a show, then I'm able to pay all of my band members. A lot of artists end up paying out their pocket. I would definitely say start with, and if you have the opportunity to, participate in, funding the arts in schools, participating in your school district, if that's something that they're voting on, participating in local elections, if that's something that's being voted on, attending public arts events, really showing up, because there's no power like people power.
Yes. Sweetheart, thank you. We're coming to the top of the hour, so that's Kopano Inglewood Jazz Festival, and that's inglewoodjazzfest.org. She's my beautiful daughter and a beautiful human being. Amen. We're at the top of the hour. Thank you, sweetheart. We'll have to bring you back again another day.
Kopano. Thank you, Kopano.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kopano.
Got to roll on. All right. WVON AM 1690. Go ahead, BJ.
All right, so Talking Chicago coming up, brother.
And the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.